we regret to inform you, the viewer, that the events of the following podcast were, in fact, quite real. Many lives were lost in the great city of Chicago resulting from mutant animal attack. The Rock is there doing his usual Rock thing. Unfortunately, as you all know, Ryan lives in Chicago, and while his home was not damaged, the whole incident has made getting to work for him a real bitch. If you can see it in your heart, please go to patreon.com/WassessCastProductions. You can donate to help him afford to quit his job and maybe even work on a podcast production full-time. Bonus episodes, behind-the-scenes content, and early releases are here, what you get for your donation. Again, patreon.com/WassessCastProductions. Help Ryan get out of his job. And now on with the show. No more monkey business. You'll be barking up the wrong tree if you think I'm kidding. One more wrong move and it's later gator for you. Welcome to the After Credits Cast, the only film podcast that has thrice dedicated itself to the unholy science of mutating animals. And only twice have we destroyed a city in the process. I am your host, Claren Wyseska, and with me today I have Rampage Metters.
Now, we gotta be careful of the references we make here. We don't want MONARCH listening.
Yep, we don't. We don't.
Anywho, we're just a normal podcast, not talking about secret monsters and the like, or what have you.
No.
What are you talking about?
No, of course not. Of course not. There's no cameras. There's no cameras here listening or on every move. That'd be ridiculous. Tune in November for more details. Anyway, so Ryan, we should probably tell everybody where they can find us. Patreon.com/WassessCastProductions. There's also YouTube, Peepa, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Podcast Addict. I'm on many other platforms. If you Google us, you will find us. If you find us and you are with a certain company that tends to monitor the movements of people and want to, do harm to us, please look the other way. We are not doing anything with large monsters this week. We promise. Anyway, Ryan, if they want to email us to see if we're okay, where can they email us at?
They can email us at where is my live action Donkey Kong movie? Goddamn! You can get us at evacstation@gmail.com.
You know, Ryan, if they chose to watch the Peter Jackson movie that it had a giant monkey, it's basically Donkey Kong.
I mean, not enough barrels, but that's neither.
Right. I don't know how he finds barrels that are big enough for him to throw. Because they're as big as him. Or not as big as him, but they're big enough where he can lift over his head and it looks big enough to, roll over a whole person.
Serious?
Yeah. I don't know. We should probably get on today's movie.
Yeah.
Welcome to the end of our first video game season. It may be the last. We're going to find out today. To 2018's Rampage, written by Ryan Engel, Carlton Coos, and Ryan Condal, and Adam Steichel, maybe. Directed by Oscar. Brad Payton. That's an easy name to read. The movie would go on to gross to $428 million, which is roughly 3 times what it cost. That might be the most profitable movie of this whole entire season.
I'm guessing $3 million was pulled in because it was The Rock.
I would say probably at least half the movie was The Rock.
Yeah, at least.
We should probably also talk about cast. We have PJ Bime, Marley Shelton, Joe Manganiello, Jake Lacey, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who we'll talk about, Nayland Ackerman, Naomi Harris, and Dwayne the Croc Johnson. Hey! He should have been Killer Croc. Fuck.
Oh my god. No, it's not enough. He's a better actor than that. He's a better actor.
Are you kidding me? Ryan, that was an Oscar-winning movie. How is he not good enough for that?
You better go ahead to these facts about this movie. We're not gonna have this argument again.
Let's get into some fun facts. Just no awards for this movie because it's not Suicide
Killer
Squad.
Croc.
So.
Jesus Christ. Fun facts. All right. The monsters in the Rampage video game series, on which this film is loosely based, were mutated humans who transformed into giant animals. Here they are giant mutated animals that genetically engineered to simply causing them to grow in size, have increased aggression, and adopt some genetic features from other species, such as regenerative capabilities. I'm still not sure how they looked at the 30-foot tall flying fucking wolf and said, he looks like a Ralph to me. Anyway, the mutated rat seen towards the beginning of the film is likely meant to be Larry from the Atari Lynx version of Rampage in 1986. The character was a special inclusion who only appeared in this version of the game. And of course, finally, at the end of April 2018, Uwe Boll, this fucking guy, demanded that Warner Brothers change the then upcoming film's title. Otherwise, he would sue the studio. The director, who produced and directed an unrelated Rampage trilogy, starting with Rampage in 2009, claimed the studio would shrink. I don't know if you heard the quotation marks. Let me try it again. Shrink his brand and revenues that he could use for future installments of his own Rampage franchise. Warner Brothers is keeping you from eating. It's not your horrible fucking movies. This fucking guy. Anyway, I'm sorry. So that's fun facts I got for you today.
Y'all should be grateful. There are several Uwe Boll films that are based on video games that I chose to leave off this season because I didn't want to punish us that hard the first go-round.
I told him, guys, if he makes me watch Dungeons and Dragons, it was over. I would never speak to him again. Never.
That'd be rough.
How the fuck did they get Jeremy Irons? Let's get back to Rampage.
So, for initial thoughts, I thought it was alright. It borders on my enjoyment of the whole Godzilla Pacific Rim kaiju-style monster movies, but I do feel like it lacks something those other movies had. This also has The Rock, so, I don't know. We'll see how it turns out at the end.
Yeah. My initial thoughts were, it's The Rock! Hey! You can tell The Rock is just having fun and just doing this purely for fun on his end. I think the overall product looks good, and the movie itself is fun and it's big and there's a whole bunch of nonsense. I do think it's pretty damn shallow.
Yeah.
So it's just like basic creature feature. For me, there wasn't really anything deep to it. It was just watching The Rock and Jeffrey Dean Morgan try to out-asshole each other, which was hilarious, but that's all I really got out of it. And watching a giant albino gorilla fight a tank crocodile? What the fuck?
It's hard to out-asshole Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He does it so well. He's playing Negan, guys.
He was having a fucking blast, man. He was having a ball with this role. You could absolutely tell.
Well, Ryan, I have a synopsis for you here. Are you ready?
My drink is far away from me, so yes, I am ready.
All right, here we go. Things fall from space in very convenient places to mutate some animals. The animals go to Chicago because we need big skyscrapers to be destroyed, and New York is still recovering from that one time in Avengers when the aliens attacked. One of the animals decides to fight for the humans because of a tangible human connection to The Rock. The day is saved by not King Kong, just in time for us to clean up for the return of King Kong vs. Godzilla this November. Oh, wait, you want to know about the human plot too? Fuck!
Not really.
Okay, so, The Rock plays an ex-military guy turned nerd scientist who specializes in apes. When his monkey gets big, no innuendo there, he goes to see the doctor about a plot MacGuffin he found. Something about genetics leads him to suspect a big shady corporation's behind it. Also, there's a big shady corporation behind this mutagen because there always is. They're spending millions to do illegal research in space because, it's better than the ocean or wherever that blue meth was cooked. The two leads of this corporate research decided to use a thing to attract monsters to the Sears Tower in Chicago to do a thing. Rampaging happens after what feels like an eternity of backstory and pointless build-up. The Rock uses the antidote on his monkey to keep it up, to keep it in check. The big ape fights the croc, the giant croc, and the wolf with skin-flap wings. The Rock uses his perfectly intact helicopter in the middle of the downtown rampaging to save the gorilla. The movie ends with countless lives lost and a smart-ass joke about the events that transpired. Hey!
And the giant gorilla making sexual innuendos about Naomi Harris.
That too.
What?
That too. So,
oh man, please.
So Ryan, what'd you think of that one?
It's fun. It was fun. I don't want to sit here and be all highbrow movie critic because that's not who I am. I mean, my girlfriend would argue that's exactly who I am, but that's not all of who I am. I did have fun with this. Like it definitely does a good job of bringing you into the action and the excitement. So, I mean, like in the midst of the several eye-rolling moments, it was fun. I did have a good time with it.
Got a podcat here.
Podcat!
But no, I'll agree that I think the movie is narratively flat, but the spectacle is there. It has half of what makes this movie good, and half of it is just kind of... It's lacking. And like I said earlier, it could definitely be more, but considering the source material, Rampage, a very low narrative game, they did what they could, and it works for the most part. It's functional. That's all I can really say about it. Ryan, what's your history with the Rampage games?
I've definitely played Rampage 2 in arcades when I was young, 100%. So I like Allegra, whom I watched this movie with, she hadn't, and she had a lot of fun with it, just watching it and kind of getting into it. But yeah, I was telling her that it was based on a video game, and you know what? Surprisingly, it didn't fucking matter. Because the video game was all about three monsters just tearing through a city and how many points you could rack up by causing untold collateral damage and eating countless people.
Yep. I have no experience with Rampage, actually.
Really?
Yep. I've read about it, I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I've never actually played it. It's just I never had access to it as a kid growing up and never bothered to reach out to it as I got older. I know there are, like, some versions of it, like, are 3D, like, on the PS1 or the N64 that I might try out. At least I think there's a 3D, game, but I don't remember for sure. But no, it's...
Honestly, don't pay money for it. You don't need to.
Oh, no, I will totally, legitimately get it off the internet somewhere, Ryan. Of course I will. But,
I meant you should try and borrow it from a friend. I don't know what you're insinuating.
Oh, okay. Is my friend BitTorrent?
You're just borrowing it from a buddy.
Yep.
Or a couple hundred buddies that are also just streaming it off their computer. Anyway,
yeah.
I think you have some questions.
I do.
For this movie, yeah?
Yep. So, Ryan, moving from that, what's your history with The Rock?
Oh, man. The most electrifying man in entertainment. I come from a family, or at least half of a family, that really, really enjoys wrestling. My mom was a big wrestling fan back in the day. I've had friends that, to this day, are still huge wrestling fans. And so I grew up with it. The Rock was absolutely my favorite coming up. Just the charisma, he's big, he's swole, he's athletic, but he's also really, really fucking charismatic. So when he eventually made the cross from wrestling to acting, of course I followed that as well. He's like, anything he's in, I'm more than likely gonna want to see it. So yeah, I've had years of history with this dude. He's fantastic.
My first experience with The Rock was 2000 something's The Scorpion King.
Really? Oh man.
Well, okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, sorry. The Mummy 2, The Scorpion King.
Yeah.
And to its credit, the CGI was shit, but the movie itself was fine.
To its credit, the CGI was shit. Oh my god.
And I wasn't sold on The Rock then, but I also wasn't, like, against him, because, I mean, he was in it for all of, like, 5 minutes, so...
Yeah.
It's hard to really judge him there. I can't place my finger on where I saw him next. He was just everywhere for a bit. Like here, a little bit there, and I can say for sure that I need to ask my friend BitTorrent for some more Rock stuff as well. But no. So I've come to appreciate his charismatic personality. With my last ex, she was like hardcore, like The Rock is like everything. To the point where it's a little bit over the top for me, but no. So she like wanted to watch every Rock movie that came out and was like super like chugging the Fast and Furious franchise. And while I'm totally down to like be like super into like this individual, it could be a bit much because not all of his movies are good. And it's not, and it's no reflection on him. The Rock is an entertainer first and foremost, and he knows how to entertain. But when you're surrounded by the same fucking falling buildings and the same fucking disasters every other movie, it does feel like his catalog is a little samey here and there.
Yeah.
So, again, nothing against him. It's just I'm looking forward to seeing him take on a purely dramatic role for like all of 5 minutes. I think that'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, he's got some. Like granted, he's been in a lot of movies that have been very, very of the similar note. But he does have some movies in his filmography that are more serious in nature, or at least that will show some more of his range. I will send you some stuff.
Okay.
Some names for you to check out.
I'll say, because I know another actor I could relate that to. I've related The Rock to a lot of different actors, but Jim Carrey's another one from back in the day. Where and we talked about this in the Sonic podcast, obviously, but so Jim Carrey is an actor who I never really got into. He was a little over the top for me when I was young, and I was like, he's a little bit too much for me. But I do know that he has played some serious roles where he actually tones himself down and really actually sells quite a performance. I'd love to see where The Rock can do that kind of stuff. Like I want to see him just like. Obviously, he can't just drop the muscles. They're there. They're stuck on him.
Yeah.
But like, I'd love to see him drop this like big guy, tough facade. Just play a person. Be a human. And let's just see where your acting talents really can take you for that. Because I'm curious to see what he could do with that.
All right.
Speaking of The Rock, do you think this movie is passable only because of The Rock's performance and charisma? Like, if we recast him, do you think this movie still would have been any good or even profitable?
No.
I think
no.
I think it would depend on the actor, but I'd be hard pressed to tell you which actor could out-rock The Rock.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I want to say the action and the CGI is good. It's a draw. It's a draw for the movie, and you get to see these 3 big-ass monsters, like, pulling a number on my beautiful city. But, yeah, like, 80% of the pull is The Rock doing crazy shit. And having a dick measuring contest with Jeffrey D. Morgan, and passively flirting with Naomi Harris. Yeah, The Rock. It's The Rock. The Rock is carrying the movie. If it wasn't him, I don't know who could possibly make it come close.
I just thought of it. I just thought of a name that might be able to sell it. If you had made this movie at the peak of his career, Will Smith probably could have sold that main role pretty easily.
Will Smith.
You know, think about it. Back in the day when he was doing Enemy of the State and MIB and what's the other one?
I don't know, man.
He was a hot commodity back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I think.
I'm not saying he wasn't. I just don't think he's the fit for this movie.
I could see it. If you replace Jeffrey Dean Morgan with Jeff Goldblum, you have the movie right there.
You can't turn every movie into Independence Day. It doesn't work.
I can and I will. God damn it. Also, replace the giant monsters with aliens, and I think we have it.
Okay, only if I get Jeff Goldblum doing a ridiculously Southern accent. Only then.
I have to look it up. Has he ever done a Southern accent?
No!
I kind of want to see this.
It's impossible. It's an impossible task.
I don't know. I think with the slow way he talks at times, he could get the twang going.
Oh my god.
What's
your next question, you jerk?
How does this compare to other giant Monster Wrecks the City type movies? Or, as the colloquial term, kaiju movies?
Generally speaking, a kaiju movie, a good kaiju movie.
Like King of the Monsters. King of the Monsters is good.
Yeah. Like, but a good kaiju movie has something more than just monsters fuck up the city. You know? Like, even in creature features where the monsters are the main attraction of the movie, there's still like a good story supporting that, you know? Like you get King of Monsters. Like, King of Monsters is a great movie not only because the effects and the monster design and everything was gorgeous, but because you had like really good story moments that pushed the movie. You had Ken Watanabe taking a nuclear bomb into the heart of this long ancient civilization and bringing Godzilla back from the dead. You have whatever the fuck sad dad character like standing on the bow of the ship looking up at the sky for some hope, and when he thinks as the sun turns out to be Mothra in her full glory. You know, you have those moments along with King Ghidorah Godzilla being fucking nonsensical, or fucking Godzilla being so hot he's literally melting fucking buildings in his step. So I think you need both. I think this movie does a passable job at one of those things.
Yeah, I will say that I think the balance of... So there's a few things. The balance of human to monsters in this movie is a little askew, in that I don't think you get enough monster early enough. Like, the movie's called Rampage, but the rampaging only happens, like, the last 15, 20 minutes, maybe? 30 minutes, if we're generous. And I get it. There's the whole Jaws logic of don't show the monsters too much too early, or you lose the tension and the surprise. But I think that really only works in movies like Jaws and like Aliens, which is just space Jaws, where it's supposed to be tense and scary.
It's supposed to be suspense. Like if the main draw of your film is suspense, then of course you don't want to show them too much too soon because you lose it. But if the main draw of the movie is you get to see big ass monsters duking it out, then get to that.
Yep. So that balances the skew to start with, and then as you've noted, and as we've noted in previous films podcasts, the human story has to be something worth watching.
Yes.
And King of the Monsters was serviceable. I don't think it was the most exciting human story, but it was serviceable. It's nowhere near as good as Shin Godzilla, which was...
Or Kong Skull Island.
Yeah, no, those two are top tier, for sure. This one, I would say, is probably better than Godzilla the reboot in terms of the human story, because it didn't deceive us with Bryan Cranston and then take it away for something else.
Although they did my boy Joe Manganiello dirty, because if you show me fucking Deathstroke like 20 minutes into the movie, I'm like, okay, this guy's gonna be real. They're not just gonna kill off Deathstroke in 15 minutes. Oh god, they killed off Deathstroke in 15 minutes. Oh my god, okay,
but
sure.
But no, the rug wasn't pulled out from us like that. But arguably, the human story was kind of goofy and not all that interesting. You have two sides. You have the scientists and you have the corporate side of things. The corporate side of things, I'll get to it a little bit. I have a couple questions down the line that'll talk about that.
Oh,
but that's a mess. For the scientists, though, I think they're too close to the situation. I think I like the stories of the humans more when there's a level of, like, separation between them and the monsters. When they're, like, the ones responsible for the monsters, whether they were the ones who cared for it before it became a monster or they created it, they feel like they're the ones you reveal at the end. Like, oh, I made the monster. I'm the true villain here, or something like that. But I like it when you, like, see a family that's trying to survive the destruction, or a pair of kids trying to escape the horde of something. Yeah, it's a real human drama versus this weird sci-fi stuff happening. Because the sci-fi stuff isn't super good. And to be fair, I can't imagine a human drama within this film would have been much better in terms of, like, execution. But it would have been, in my opinion, a little more interesting. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. I mean, I don't know. Like it feels like they were stretching to cover, like, all the bases that they had to just to get this thing off the ground.
Yeah.
I tell you, my eyes rolled across my room when I heard when Jeffrey Dean Morgan was going over The Rock's background. He's like, oh, ex-Special Forces. I'm like, why the fuck is he ex-Special Forces? Only because he's built like The Rock.
Yeah, basically.
We had to say that because it doesn't make sense for this primatologist who likes animals more than humans to be like fucking Buff Jones. Like, why?
Now, Ryan, if you had recast him, like I said with Will Smith back in the day, you could have gone with a bunch of different backstories. It wouldn't have to be ex-military. It could have been even I don't know, genetic engineer or something like that. You could have made him a little
but at the same time, if it's not that, then you can't have him fight side by side George against the two monsters at the end. You can't have the genetic engineer be like, okay, I guess I'm gonna tank this fucking crocodile.
Anyone can shoot a gun, Ryan. It's just pushing a button. It's not that hard. Just imagine Jeff Goldblum's up there saying, "Oh, you're a ex genetic engineer, huh? That is interesting, Mr. Smith."
Mr. I'd love to see Will Smith play a genetic engineer, by the way. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. You're right. That actually would be interesting.
I could pitch movies all day, and I guarantee you at least 3 of them would get greenlit.
God damn
it. Ryan, important question for any Chicago person, and I feel like we've talked about this before in one of my visits out to your amazing home. Sears Tower or Willis Tower?
That's not even a question. Of course, the Sears Tower.
Okay.
Of course.
Thank you.
And anybody who is from Chicago, who is actually from Chicago, will tell you in a heartbeat it is the Sears Tower. Anybody who's moved here or visited, they'd be like, oh, I got to see all the sites. I got to see the Willis Tower. The what? I'm sorry? The what? The who? You mean the Sears Tower? Which at one time was the tallest building in the world. Yes, the Sears Tower. Thank you very much.
Now, if you have a friend out there who calls it the Willis Tower, you have our permission to slap them. Don't hurt them.
You do.
Don't hurt them too much, but just slap them. Just remind them, hey.
You have my express permission to just be like, put some respect on that name. Put some respect on the Sears Tower, please. Thank you.
Don't go on your way to injure them. Just remind them of what reality is. Okay. Next question. Has there ever been an evil corporation that does an evil thing, and it actually makes sense? Like in a way where the company and this evil thing could legitimately happen in real life, minus the obvious fantastical elements of, like, zombies or some bullshit.
So, this particular story, no way. In this particular movie, the actions taken by the corporation could only be done by a fucking crazy megalomaniacal corporate boss.
A cartoon villain, basically.
Cartoon villain. They were literally cartoon villains. I'm surprised they were actually 3D. They were literally cartoon villains. Because not only do you start off by saying, hey, this lab in space is getting fucked up, there's one survivor, and they're like, we're gonna lock the escape pod. If you don't go get that fucking research, dog, you are gonna die up there. Oh, by the way, you're dying up there anyway. Sorry.
Well, I'm dying either way, so I might as well just die with this locked.
Honest to God, if that happened to me, I'd be like, well, bitch, then you're not getting it. Goodbye, and then there'd be no movie. There'd just be no movie. I would consent myself to die.
You would die a hero, Ryan.
If you're gonna do this. If you're gonna do this to me, bitch, I'm gonna show you exactly what you're fucking with, and that would have been the end of the movie.
Yep.
I'd have saved countless lives just like that.
You could either live long enough to what's the phrase? You either live long enough to become the villain or die a hero or something like that.
Yep, 100%.
Yep.
Now, but then after that, they're like, oh well, these canisters fell to the earth in 3 places, and let's hire a mercenary team to go get the shit. What? Okay. Next. Okay, well, it looks like these things have actually mutated the wildlife, but it's actually doing what we want it to do. So we need the guys to come here so that we can take control of them. I know! I'll put a giant beacon in the middle of this amazingly crowded city, and which is a giant fuck you beacon to these things, and make them come straight here. Fuck the city itself. So when they get here, we can put the cure on them, calm their aggression down, somehow take control of them, and then manage to blow all of this over with the authorities. That's the most cartoon villain plan I've ever fucking heard.
Yep.
Ever in life.
Yep. They make Resident Evil's Umbrella look kind of competent almost.
Yeah, kinda.
Which is a big feat, because Umbrella is a fucking bunch of incompetent assholes. Like, no joke. So, yeah, I don't know. I struggle with some of these movies where you have an evil corporation, because I think evil corporations are fun, because you could definitely poke holes in capitalist society and in the corporate structure, because there are some evil douchebags in there. There are some horrible things that happen within a company, without question. I just wish that the movies would, instead of exaggerating them to this cartoonish degree, which granted, this is Rampage, if it didn't exaggerate, it would have been weird, but in general, though, I wish that movies didn't exaggerate this much this often. I wish they were be a little bit more subtle about it. Like, let's take EA, for example. They are a bad video game company. They are the ones who popularized the whole loot box thing and kept trying to push it onto children, basically. In your sports games, in your Dead Spaces, in your Star Wars. Yeah, those guys. You could make a movie about a company trying to manipulate the youth through technology, and it would not only make them look evil, it would also be very eerily realistic.
Yeah, let me put it to you this way: the crazy villain plot from Kingsman,
yes,
makes more sense than this movie.
It actually also is a bit more believable, minus the heads blowing up, but still.
Yes, like that's a modern day crazy fucking James Bond villain plan, and that was at least plausible.
or another example we did as well was Iron Man 3 and the Extremis project that was going backfired. So the corporate scientists were like, hey, let's make these look like terrorist attacks, and then we could, maybe find a way to kind of get the stress off us then. Right,
yeah. 100%.
Like, there are some really good ideas out there. This was not one of them.
It was absolutely not one of them. I feel like the writers were like, we have to have a villain in here, and we have to have some reason for them to come to the city and eventually climb the Sears Tower. Fuck. Let's just connect the dots and keep going. But if we just connect the dots and don't actually make it believable, these people look cartoonish as fuck. Doesn't matter. They're here to see a giant gorilla, a giant wolf, and a giant crocodile tear up Chicago. As long as we give them that, it's fine. Nope. That and The Rock.
Yeah, there you go. Ryan, would you ever want to see a sequel to this film, or maybe even have it tie into, say, the Godzilla universe?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay.
No, I'm good. I don't want this movie fucking with the good monster movies. I don't want it. This was a fun one-off. Let it be that. I'm perfectly fine with it just staying there.
I would have a laugh, though, if the next Godzilla had, like, a Rampage poster in the background, just for funsies.
Yeah.
Or
there was a smaller albino gorilla running around as part of King Kong's pack.
Oh, dude, that'd be great. So I'm reaching the end of my questions here. I've got 2 more left for you, Ryan. And, yeah, this is going to be a short one, because we just breezed through this real quick. Ryan, we have reached the end of the video game season. It was a ride, for sure. To be sure. I have to ask you, was this season worth it, and would you want to try this kind of stuff again?
I definitely think the season was worth it because we want to try new stuff. We want to get some new content out there, and we can't recycle like the tried and true stuff that like the stuff that we've done in the past. You know, it's always good to branch out. That being said, there were some not great movies.
Yeah, like
there were some not great movies.
And like, here's the thing too. It's not like they were all offensively bad. It's not like they were, like... So I'm going to harken back to the M. Night Shyamalan season. There was a couple movies in that season that were very good at all.
Yes.
And Avatar, Last Airbender, being one of them. And no, I'm talking about the movie, not the show. The show is still gold.
The show is golden. The show is platinum, goddamn it.
But the movie was bad. And it's... interesting because not all the movies of this season reach that depth. One of them did, of course, but not all of them. Most of them are in the very much the bronze and stone range. And it's not like we haven't had a bunch of those before, but I think when you have so many in a row without a lot of bright spots, it just gets really hard to have the energy to want to watch more of these. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think you put it perfectly. I mean, like, it's interesting to watch these and like really try and dissect them, but there's not much to dissect in a lot of them. I think it has to do with the direction that the movies took, but I think it also speaks to the difficulty of the genre itself to adapt. Because we've gone through this in all the movies we've talked about. How the story from the game translates to this different medium, or how it doesn't translate, or why it doesn't translate, or what did it get wrong, what did it get right. There's a lot that's lost in translation from sitting in front of a TV and taking the character in your hand and playing the story and just watching stuff unfold on the big screen. There's a vast difference between the two, and it's hard to pull off. I haven't seen a wonderful video game adaptation done yet, and I think because it's hard, because it's really hard.
It is, and like you said, it's translating a interactive medium into an inactive or a passive medium, and it's a difficult transition. Some do it really well. I think Pokemon did fine. I think Ace Attorney did okay.
Yeah.
And what was the other one we said that we both agreed was pretty solid? I think there was one more, wasn't there?
Was there?
Sonic 2020, obviously, was the best one.
Obviously.
We certainly didn't record this ahead of time and have different opinions on it now. That's for sure.
Thinking hella hard on this. Obviously... yeah, Sonic 2020 was the best because they've learned from the mistakes of the past.
Indeed. They got to go fast, too.
They have to go much faster.
To escape that past, they got to go fast.
Bars, sir.
We have 2 more video game movies later this year. Due to a scheduling issue, this was all going to take place in December, and we were going to go from our Halloween movies to this. And due to delays of other stuff, that got switched around. So we have 2 more video game movies at the end of the year, Ryan, with Silent Hill and Silent Hill Revelations. So we'll revisit this topic again before too long. And I remember watching these movies. I actually genuinely like at least the first one. The second one is weird, but it's because it does weird things with the adaptation. from what I remember. So, no, I don't think we're all the way done with video game movies. There's still the Resident Evil series, which I actually think would be kind of fun to hit up. There's always going to be new video game adaptations. We didn't even touch Warcraft or Prince of Persia or a few other ones that are really Tomb Raider is another big one. So
yeah. I think there's definitely more to explore. I would not mind doing this again. I think Resident Evil is going to be very, very interesting because it'll be the first like suspense-driven like horror game that's translating to movies, which I personally think will translate much better.
Yep, I think so too.
So I mean, when we get there, it'll be nice to revisit it as well. I'm down to do it again. There was just a lot to be desired this time around, and while I've enjoyed all the conversations we've had, I'm more interested to get to movies that I know have a lot to dig into, because that's what I like to do. I like to dig into.
Yep, we certainly won't get that next week though, because I mean, Spider-Man from what was that, 2000? How much depth could a movie from 2000 have? I mean, for real.
I mean, of course, it has Willem Dafoe in it, but that's neither.
Oh, it's got Willem Dafoe? Anyway! Fuck, I'm on board for that. Okay. Dude, I want to see The Lighthouse so bad. I have not seen it yet, but everyone's like saying how hype it is. I'm like, dude, I want to see it. It's Willem Dafoe in a Cthulhu-inspired horror movie.
Oh, God.
I am down for this shit.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check that out.
Last question for the season, Ryan. Assuming that, of course, we don't have anything else to record. What video game movie have we done that you appreciated most? Which one have you appreciated least? And what movie do you want to see get made, or video game do you want to see get made into a movie?
Well, I'm going to exclude Sonic 2020 because we both agree it was fantastic. Not because we haven't seen it yet. But I think of the others. I would say the one that I appreciated most, and this is personally, was Doom.
Okay.
And the reason why is not because it was the best film, but because it surprised me the most. I went in fully expecting it to be cookie cutter shooter, but it's the movie that exceeded my expectations for the most. I didn't really have any expectations going into Phoenix Wright because I wasn't super familiar with the game. I had fairly high expectations for Detective Pikachu because I had already heard that it got some good praise for it. It's got Ryan Reynolds in it, so I know it can't be like awful. I mean, it can't be Green Lantern, but it also looked really, really good. Yeah. So I had higher expectations for this. Doom shot higher above the expectation from me. It surprised me in a really nice way, so that's the one I'll say I appreciated the most. Hands down, I hated Final Fantasy. Oh my god, what were we doing?
It was a fun thought experiment to see if we could.
It was very fun. It was definitely worth a swing. But nah.
Are you saying you would never do Spirits Within, Ryan?
Nah, yeah, I'm good.
I'll jump in real quick before we get to the last part of the question. I think I appreciated the Ace Attorney movie the most. I have a lot of respect for what Pokemon did with the designs and everything. I just needed to be more interesting. Just a little bit more.
Yeah.
But Ace Attorney I went into, and I'm like, okay, how are you going to turn this silly-ass puzzle game with just a bunch of people yelling at each other into a movie? And they did pretty good. I can't argue that one at all. They did really solid, and it feels like a live-action anime, which even Dragon Ball Evolution couldn't do. So
yeah. Like the fact that they still had like the entire courtroom falling down when something stupid was said, it blows my mind to this day.
It was cute as hell. I loved it.
I was just like, this is the most anime thing I've ever seen in real life.
Least appreciated. At the time of recording, we have not done the episode recording yet, but I'm gonna say probably Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Least appreciated because of a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff that led into it, and just how slapped together it feels. And Ryan, have you seen Mortal Kombat Annihilation ever?
I have. I've seen both of them.
Okay,
I saw both of them like when they came out, and they were near and dear to my heart for young Ryan. They did not age well.
Yeah. If you just the first 5 minutes, Ryan, I was like, oh, this is going to be on the bad end of the spectrum, isn't it?
Like, let's just hurry up and kill Johnny Cage. It's fine. We didn't have enough budget for him.
Oh, I'm not even talking about the recasting and the killing of characters. No, that's a big deal. I'm talking about that horrible fucking green screen they try to use. Like, it's the worst I've seen in any of these movies so far.
Oh man! All right, that's fun.
Final Fantasy obviously is the worst one, but I also expected it to be the worst one. So I can't say that it was the least appreciative. I just didn't give a fuck.
That's fair. That's fair.
Video game movie. A video game I'd like to see made into a movie. There are a lot of good options. I would say probably. Can I say Metroid? Because I would be down to see aliens, but with more high-tech, goofy shit going on.
Man, Metroid. That would be very interesting. That would be a very interesting attempt.
There's been some fan-made projects of it, and I honestly could see that happening. If you get the right people at Nintendo to listen, they might make it happen.
Yeah.
It'll probably be after a Zelda movie gets made, but Metroid would be the one I'd want to see more.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, okay, video game movie that I want to see get made. You know what's really interesting that video games now, or at least the video games, the recent video games that I am playing now
feel like movies.
I'm enjoying. They feel like movies. You're right. That's absolutely what I was gonna say. Like I'm looking at my library now, and I'm like, God of War. Wait, that's pretty much a movie. The Last of Us. No, that's
Uncharted. No, wait, no.
Uncharted. No, that's pretty much a movie. So I don't know. I feel like if I really wanted to see a video game movie get made, and done well, it'd be rough. It'd be tough. It would be tough to do, but I'd like to see them take a stab at Zelda.
Yeah, that's probably everyone's top pick, I think, for most
and
people.
And I know they're looking to do something with Zelda on Netflix, but like we'll reserve judgment. Maybe that'll be on a future season of Press Start.
Yeah, because we still need to do Witcher.
Oh God, yes, Witcher! We're absolutely doing The Witcher. Jesus Christ, that was wonderful.
Actually, you know what would be really cool too? Now that I'm thinking about it, I know they've done an anime for it, but a Castlevania, like a short film of Castlevania, would be kind of fun.
That would be tough with the amount of monsters and crazy ass CGI they would have to pull off.
If you tone down the monster amount, but still keep the good, cool ones in there, I think it's doable.
But Dracula alone... Dracula alone would be rough.
I don't know. They could pull it off in Lord of the Rings, Ryan. I could see it happening here.
It's possible. It's definitely possible.
Now, there's no shortage of good ideas. It's just a matter of getting the right people in charge for it. That's all it is.
Getting the right people in charge for them, getting the resources involved, and, like, yeah, that's really it.
With that, everybody, let's move on to our next segment, which is... Okay, there we go. Our next segment is the just the mail call, letting everyone know, hey, we have a monthly podcast we do, going over what we've done, what we're going to do, and reading your comments, questions, and concerns. And if you want to send those to us, you have Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, the comment section below, depending on what platform you're on, and of course, our lovely email. Ryan, what is that email?
That email is, why the fuck did the wolf get to fly, though? That still was never explained. Sorry. That is evacstation@gmail.com.
Well, I mean, clearly, Ryan, that wolf has evolved to have wings like a bat. So it's obviously a bat dog.
Sure. It's Bat Wolf. It's the newest member of the Bat family. It's Bruce Wayne's adopted wolf, alright?
Yeah, Ace the Crime Hound is a little disappointed, but... So yeah, you can also go to Patreon for exclusive content, including behind-the-scenes episodes, exclusive extra episodes, and we're looking to do more stuff on there too, including new shows. I don't want to talk about them now because we still need to figure out when we're doing them and how we're doing them, but rest assured, planning is in progress for some of that stuff. So tune in, and if you donate, the faster we can get to that stuff, because that's just money we can put towards making better and newer stuff for you. So...
remember, if you hit the $200 mark, I believe it is, I'm supposed to sing the entire Pokemon theme song for a Patreon exclusive. So do it.
And 300, we'll do the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yes.
Yep. That'll be a hoot.
That'll be a long time, but yeah, we'll do it.
That's why it's 300. Let's get up to the final thoughts. We ranked the movie from platinum to shit and all the colors in between. Ryan, what are you going to rank Rampage?
This movie was fun, and I always enjoy seeing The Rock in movies. That being said, this movie was really shallow. This movie was very shallow, and the villains were the most ridiculously cartoonish thing I've ever experienced. Not ever, but it's up there. It's definitely up there in top 10 cartoon villains on the big screen. So I'm gonna give this one a stone, because while I had fun with it, the stuff that I really enjoy going to the movies for are a small amount of depth in your storytelling, some stuff that makes me think a little bit more than just what I'm seeing on the screen. And while it was fun eye candy, there wasn't too much to really get into, so it's kind of meh for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't hate it. Like, I don't think it's shit. It's just it's meh.
It has the CGI and the fun energy of a Bronze film, but it has like the plotting and the tropes and the cliches of like a stone or dirt film. So I'm gonna balance out and say stone as well. It's not great. It's not gonna waste. It's not a waste of time per se, but it's just not something I would say you have to watch more than once.
Yeah, if you're watching TV with your kids and it comes on TNT, it's not a waste of anything. It's some fun eye popcorn to spend some time with your family.
Daddy, look, that wolf has wings. Can we throw our dog off the roof and see if it flies too?
Nope, dogs don't work like that. Actually, it just fucked up the carpet. Yeah, let's see if he flies.
Whoa. Ryan's throwing dogs off roofs, everybody.
I'm allergic. I'm sorry, I can't help it.
So, that is it for the video game season. For you, we don't have more to record, of course. That's ridiculous.
Of course not.
So next week, everybody, you get to enjoy the soothing, happy sounds of us with Robbie Nelson for our Spider-Man season.
Man, I can't wait for that, dude. He's so cool.
And he seems really hyped for Spider-Man. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fun.
We're talking about his boy. He was like, of course I'm going to be talking with for just about all of these, of course.
Yep. And then after the Spider-Man season, we'll be hitting up the first ladies of film. I don't want to get into details on what films are included in that, but trust me, we got some good ones. We got some real doozies there for you.
Oh yeah, guys. I'm excited. You should get hyped.
So thank you for listening, and we'll see you after the credits.
Bye. Thank you, sir. Oh my god, that's wonderful. When does this come out? Oh my god, when does this come out?
This should come out end of March.
Oh my god, if it came out in July and I could announce, hey guys, you did it, I'm leaving Chicago. Oh man, alright, I'm sorry.
That would be
Let us
beautiful.
begin.
That'd be beautiful.